Hey guys, and welcome to the second module in the 1-week Learning on Steroids Bootcamp. In the last video, I showed you how it was possible to learn faster by learning holistically. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can finally beat procrastination and start getting a lot more work done. Now, the key to getting more work done is to have a productivity system. But unfortunately, the system that most students use is a combination of guilt and stress. When they haven't worked for a long time, they feel more and more guilty that they're not working on their assignments, and then they finally start working after the guilt builds up. And when they're working, they work and work until they feel too stressed and too tired, and then they start procrastinating again. And this cycle of guilt and stress can work, but it has a heavy cost because you're constantly either feeling guilty about not working or stressed because you are working. As an example of how this can build up, here's an email I got from someone who was in a similar situation. Sean writes me, 2.5 years ago I left the corporate world and started working from home. Ever since I've been beating myself up for how little work I do. During that time I averaged 20 hours per week and couldn't understand why no matter what I tried I can't work 40 hours. I became addicted to competitive video gaming and had zero motivation to work. Now Sean's example is very illustrative because I know so many students that are in a similar situation. They spend all of their time studying and they have no time to go to parties or do cool projects or have a life. But at the same time, they fail to accomplish a lot of real work. The solution to this is to have a system that eliminates the need for guilt and stress. You want a system that when you're not working, you don't feel guilty. You can relax guilt-free and actually fully enjoy what you're doing when you're not working. But when you are working, you want the system to also focus you ruthlessly on what is most important for you to work on right now. Now, exactly this system is what I'm going to be teaching you in this module, and I call it weekly daily goals. Now luckily Sean wrote me in a more recent email that he was able to implement the weekly daily goals system, and here's what he sent me. Week 1 of using the weekly daily goals is one of my most productive weeks since I began working from home. But most importantly, my level of stress is a fraction of what it used to be. My motivation and energy levels were amazing. I got so many tasks done that have been hanging over my head for months that I will go into next week with even more clarity and focus. Weekly daily goals is a ruthlessly simple system. Now, I developed it a few years ago after getting fed up with productivity systems that were just too complicated to be useful. Getting things done by David Allen may work great for middle managers, but for most students it's overkill. And if your system is too complicated, you're not going to stick with it. Luckily, weekly daily goals, you can accomplish 99% of it just by following 3 rules. The first rule is at the end of each week, you make a new to-do list and you label it weekly goals. In that list, you write down all the tasks you want to accomplish that week. So readings, assignments that are due, essays that you need to write, any studying that you want to do. You write this in this list. Rule number 2, at the end of each day, you write a daily goals list. And you pull from the weekly daily goals list a few tasks, try to pick about 5 to 7 at most, from the weekly daily goals list that you're going to focus on for tomorrow. And rule number 3 is that when you're working, you only focus on the daily goals list. When you finish the daily goals list, you're done for that day. You don't have to do any more work. Now, if this system sounds stupidly simple, it's because it is. Complex systems don't work because you don't stick to them. Keeping 2 to-do lists is a fairly simple system and it's a lot easier to stick with. The second thing about this system is that it's not that it tracks what you need to do. That's not what is important because everybody has to-do lists, and you know what, to-do lists don't work very well. The reason that this system works is because it tells you what not to do. Because you're only focused on just doing what's on the daily goals list, not this infinite to-do list method. You stay focused on those 5 to 7 tasks, and that makes it much more manageable. Instead of having a semester worth of assignments and readings that you need to do, you're focused highly on just the things that you want to accomplish in the next day. So your homework for this module is to write down right now a weekly goals list for this week, and then to add a daily goals list for tomorrow. And put that daily goals list on your computer or somewhere where you will be able to find it. So write those 2 lists down right now as soon as this finishes so that you won't forget, and try out this system. Because it's easy to consume ideas and say, you know what, I'll try that out later. But this is realistically just writing 2 lists, so there's no reason you can't do it right now. And just try out the system and see if it works. Now, it may take you 1 to 2 weeks to fully get into the system. I've been using it for 3 years, and in my experience in the program, it usually takes about 2 weeks or maybe even as much as a month before you can fine-tune all the kinks. But the results are worth it. As Sean's case demonstrates, and many more cases in the program, weekly daily goals allows you to focus on what's important instead of getting distracted by the hundreds of other things that you need to do in your life. Now stay tuned, because in the next module in this 1-week course, I'm going to be showing you how you can actually permanently change your learning habits. Because reading and listening to these things is important, but actually implementing them and taking action is what matters. So good luck with the weekly daily goals technique, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.